everlasting glamour of our heritage scene.
Sri Lanka has been a golden destination for many of the foreigners out there for so many years. And for sure, this island is home for many of the friendly people out there. So wishing you a very good morning and hoping you are safe at home. Today we divert our discussion for tourism. Tourism particularly in Sri Lanka and of course tourism in Kandy. So in order to give us the relevant procedures and to discuss about this fact, we have invited Mr. Rodney Armstrong, Resident Manager, Hotel Mahaweli Reach, and the President of the Kandy Hoteliers Association. We welcome you warmly, sir.
Thank you.
So yes, as I've stated, Sri Lanka is a composition. It's a mixture of beautiful landscapes, diverse locations, a rich cultural heritage, and so on and so forth. So as a matter of fact, to start the discussion with, we'll talk about the perceptions and ideologies and the notions that the outside world has about Sri Lanka.
Yes, a lot of the foreigners who come to Sri Lanka and who has known Sri Lanka for its hospitality.
Yes, sir.
As you said before, its beautiful landscapes, locations, the cuisine, which is where we still have the traditional cuisines, and so and it has so much to offer. And also, as you said, the people are so friendly in Sri Lanka, and these are things that the foreigners, they find not in many other countries. Because I have traveled, and those are things that we don't find in other countries. Even when they come to a hotel, the staff is so personalized. They look after them. And these are, as I said, these are things that are very unique to Sri Lanka, and that is why Sri Lanka has been a beautiful destination for tourists. And I think out of 100%, I think everybody who comes and goes are very happy, and they always come back if they can afford it. But unfortunately now with this pandemic we are finding it with no tourists at all.
So what sort of values do these people bear about Sri Lanka, especially now? Sri Lanka is a country well known for hospitality. So what sort of values do these people get from Sri Lanka, and how does the procedure go, sir?
Values, you mean like what?
What sort of reviews that do we get about from the people?
Sorry?
What sort of reviews
reviews, sorry, yeah, it's the same what I spoke. The reviews, they're very comfortable here.
Yeah.
And they're very happy, and so it's a destination, I said, that is like no other in any other country. And the reviews we get mainly is about the people being friendly, the food, and also we have different class of hotels, and of course then the different, the location in Sri Lanka. Like for example, you can go from very hot climate to a few very cooler climate, like in the mountains, a hill country, like Aurelia, in a few hours.
Actually, like Sri Lanka is an year-round destination.
Right. We don't have any seasons.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah, and tourists can come anytime. So that is a big plus point for Sri Lanka. And as I say, it's not the same everywhere. Like even as you say, the sceneries change from a few hours, few minutes, and that is what is a lot of tourists who have come. I said Sri Lanka is it has, as you say, value is we are still a few years back. With the advantages to the tourist. Like other countries are developed. Even if you go into the suburbs, it has developed, and this is something they don't want, but they want to see what was many years ago. It's like you'll find an elephant walking on the road. They get taken, things like that. So that's another big value we have in Sri Lanka, and I think we should preserve these, as much as we can, preserve these areas where they don't develop too much. Okay, the cities have to develop with the world development and things taking place, but these are plus points for Sri Lanka, where they can see these, and which they don't see, their children can see. Where, like you know what I mean? You drive into a suburb, you might find a mud hut with the people staying in it. So if you can preserve these things, like in Indonesia, for example, was like this. A couple of years ago. But then, as with the development, things developed and things changed. So they said this is a very big plus point for Sri Lanka, and we should try to maintain these things. And also, as I said, we should organize itineraries that the tourists see these things, not come to just a main city, do a bit of shopping and go back. And that is a thing that is very important, because I think like even you and me know we have not been to places that are so beautiful.
Of course.
Right, and so actually the tourist board should formulate even a committee where they explore what the tourists can see and get the full benefit of the country, which we don't. I'm 100% sure we don't get the full benefit of the country for the tourists to see.
Okay. So, sir, this is the perception that the people have and the values that we get out of these things that we have in our own country.
Correct.
So, one thing, now, since this is a ceremonious season that we have, it's especially, there is this attention driven to Kandy. What sort of particular perceptions do they have in regard to the Central Hills?
Yes. First and foremost, 99% of the tourists, they travel through Kandy. Right, so Kandy, as I said earlier, is a destination world known, right, and for its beauty and also like they have the Temple of the Tooth to visit, the botanical gardens, and the tea plantations are close by, which again visit the tea plantations. So and also the weather is very comfortable in Kandy, and we got some good hotels and even the marketplace, which is still the same old marketplace for the last, we say, I know 50 years as I can remember, like the fruit stores outside. These are things they like and they are seen and what they think about Kandy. And anyway, Kandy is a destination that every tourist who comes has a good comment.
Kandy particularly holds this, since many believe that this is a religious center.
Yes.
Yes.
That is one reason. But again, the opinion that also depends on the kind of from which section of the world the tourists come. Right, like for the Indian, the Thai, the Chinese, it's a very religious place for them. They come here, and we have Thai groups who come only to visit the temple, and that's then they really have a lot of faith, and they come on special tours, and I've seen it online where they get up even at 4:35 in the morning to come for the ceremony to the temple. Okay. Which is Thai, and it is Thai is one of the main markets that visit the temple, but of course Europeans come and they do the normal, like come and see the different they walk in the temple and all that, but it's mainly the Thai, Chinese, Indian people who are the people who visit the temple and pay homage to the...
They have this purpose, they know the purpose.
Yes.
Okay. So now, since you divert the attention about this enthusiasm of this people, now when they come to Sri Lanka, I have this question of how are they given these packages? How are they informed about the beautiful destinations of the country?
Yeah, that is. I think we are a very weak point on that. So I think, like I said, this time in the tourist board should formulate and they should take the decisions. Like for example, like a lot of tourists are given the impression only these few destinations are there to visit. But I think they should inform the travel agents. I think that some of the travel agents don't know what we have to offer. Okay. And see the itineraries, and I think they should make it a must-visit site, for example, right? Where the tourists get the full benefit and the history of the country, because we have a lot of history in Sri Lanka. So, and also our biodiversity is so, the wildlife we have in the country, there is hiking, there is a lot of things we can do, as you said, the waterfalls. So we have to show this. We should go out and show the world what Sri Lanka has to offer. Maybe we can go on social media or whatever we can do with the new technologies, we can do a lot. But the first and foremost, we should have our people to identify these locations. So, and we can tourism, we can really make it a huge industry. Yes, sir. Because when they know these things are available, and when they come from their busy schedules and their tight life, a rat race running the countries, they have to relax, unwind. So we should make this for tourists to see a place where they can really unwind and get the maximum out of the country.
So are these procedures being taken place that since you said that many of the beautiful destinations are kept hidden and that there are like relevant places that they normally do visit, how are these packages and informations given? Via whom are these being given to those?
This is mainly now, for example, in a foreigner, or a group request from the travel agents. What we can offer there. These are fixed packages, I think, for the last 30-40 years. That's what I always say, change is itineraries. show the whole country, let everybody benefit from tourism. Because tourism is an industry that goes to every route. I mean, for example, after the Easter bombing, incident, also I don't use, I drove down to Mayangana.
Yeah, sure.
Because I go often there, and I was with some villagers of the area, and they said, I just want to emphasize what tourism is. So they said those days, we used to pluck a few oranges from our tree, get a bottle of bees honey, and we wait by the road and we sell this, and we get at least some income, 1,000. But now it's not happening.
Yeah.
And those are areas that I said which are not explored. For example, when you drive down to Mayangana at about 5:30 in the morning, you see that sunrise with all the reflection on the tanks. I mean, this is God's. I mean, these are things no foreigner will have in their country. And another area we should distinguish is we are so green. Sri Lanka is so green. And for example, the people from the Middle East, right? When they come here, they can't believe it's so green. I mean, where they come from. So these are things we have to. But again, as I said, this has to be shown to the people, the tourists who are coming, which is not enough. Maybe have road shows when things are over, and showcase the country in a way that they get the real feeling that. I mean, even before they come, they get the feeling that Sri Lanka is a destination. It's like a God's land, and we have always, as I mentioned before, we have been a very lucky country. Like even during the good and bad times, I have been telling this before, we bounce back. So I think we should make use of this luck and try to improve this industry.
Yeah, okay. So another, as a matter of fact, there is this another question that came to my mind. Now, we were talking about this different ideas and things that the foreigners bears about the country Sri Lanka, and that according to you, that we must have a more exposure of the gems, and I mean, like the most interesting destinations are kept hidden, and then we need this procedures to be taken place in order to show them to the outside world. So show how special we are. As you've stated, the people who are coming from the Middle East are very interested, because to find it so green, maybe because this is located near the equator, that they are like so surprised to see how green it might be. So in that case, sir, now, since we are, it is a relevant procedure of talking about these destinations, normally to what places are they? Like, are there different packages related to religious destinations or beautiful places that we go, or is it just like a tour around the island? What sort of packages?
There again, Pumi is like for example, as I said, there are certain countries that we offer religious packages, right? So that, as I say, it can be India, China, Thailand, but the rest of the European and the Far Eastern and all that, I mean, this, as I say, it's the same packages we offer them, which is very sad. I mean, being such a beautiful country. I mean, because I know I've been in the industry I joined the industry in 1980. Okay. Right, but that time it was much better, to be honest. Right, where people traveled right around Sri Lanka, and there has to be. At that time, I was a chef at that time. So normally it's a 2 weeks tour that the guests were given. But there was a thing called optional tour, right? The 2 weeks tour is broken down to 1 week. Okay. Right? But the 2 weeks, what the tourists normally see, these people see it in 1 week. So you can see how organized it was. Of course, we as hoteliers, we have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because they leave at 4 o'clock. We have to make the breakfast.
It's a huge responsibility.
Because we have to. They work under a tight frame of time. So that is what we should bring back, where they see the country, and that's what you have to bring back. And that's what I say, the tourist board, I mean, they're doing their best, but these are things, and as I said, I think about maybe about 12 years back, the Honorable Minister, Mr. Nama Rajapaksa, he organized a road show in China, right? To be honest, like I went with that time with another president of the association, but I was also asked to join this group. And it was, according to the senior travel agents who were with us, they said it was one of the best road shows to showcase the country. But do you know, Pumi, that there were people, they didn't know where Sri Lanka was.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
They think we are a part of India. So when we had these shows, they're kind of asking, is this India? Or then we had to tell them. But that
Yes.
road show, I think, was very successful, and that was one thing that developed the Chinese market to Sri Lanka, because it was done in a way where they branded the buses, and it was about 2 weeks, but it was well organized, because the comments we got from senior travel agents, much seniors to us, it was a good thing,
Okay.
which the country really benefited.
Yeah. So with that, we have to talk a lot more about the things that we have, the speciality that Sri Lanka held before this pandemic. So in order to talk of those facts, we'll meet soon after a small break.
Thank you.
The legend of Senkanda, the everlasting glamour of our heritage city.
උදතිද සපිරි දිකුතලැති හස්තිරාජවරු පෙරටු අලියතුන් පිරිවරා නෙක විකුම්පාන සහසක් නැටුම්කරුවන්ගේ රංගස්වභාවෙන් මගදෙපස විසිතුරු කර සියක් පන්දම්කරුවන්ගේ එලිච්චමත්කාරයේ එලිරටායට විභූතිමත් කන්ද උඩරට සෙන්කඩ කළ මේ සිරිතලතා පෙරහර සමයයි.
බුදුදහමින් ඔපවත් වූ අපේ සංස්කෘතික දායාදය. බුදුදහමින් ඔපවත් වූ අපේ සංස්කෘතික දායාදය.
The legend of Senkanda, the everlasting glamour of our heritage city.
Yes, welcoming you back. We'll get back to the question that we were talking about. All right. So then we discussed about the place of Sri Lanka in the hearts of thousands of people, millions of people around the world. There are some people who actually misinterpret that Sri Lanka is a part of India, and there are some people who actually knows about Sri Lanka. So that is what we were talking about, so isn't it? So let's continue from the place we stopped, and you can just say what you bear about this perception.
Yeah, for example, like I would say, before all these problems, and like when I remember I was out of Sri Lanka for some time, and then I joined the industry again in 1983.
Yes.
And it was in about 95, 96. I mean, like for example, you take the month of August, right? It's really for Kandy, it's the best month for all hotels.
Yeah.
Right, because the people who come pay high rates because of the limited amount of rooms and all that. And I remember in, I think, 95, 96, and during the Sela Pereira, we used to get people, we hadn't rooms in Kandy, right? Okay, so they used to like stay in Sigiriya, Dambulla in hotels, and they used to come for lunch. I remember how busy we were. Like, I mean, they come, they watch the Pereira, then they come for lunch to one of the hotels in Kandy, then they come watch the Pereira, then they come back, have dinner with us, and they get back to their destinations like Dambulla and Sigiriya, because Kandy didn't have the capacity of rooms at that time.
That much people, foreigners that we got.
That much foreigners. And I mean, the comments we get regarding the pageant is, I mean, they can't believe it. They say it's such a beautiful pageant to watch, and they're just amazed. So that was what it was like 95, 96, 97. But then it slowly started going down and things. But that was a time that we were really quite, I mean, after the conflict and all that, we were doing well. And also, like, another thing, I think we had, tourist board had officers like in France, Germany, in UK. Now, I think all those officers have been, because you have to have an ambassador. I mean, even as a country, to tell what the country is, and not, I'm referring to the ambassador of tourism.
Sure, yes.
Right? So, but all those officers have been shut down. Okay, with the present situation, I think the government can't do anything about it, because we have to be also fair, because they are doing their best to bring the pandemic under control.
Yeah.
But I think once things come back, hopefully, because I think 1 year ago I spoke at this same place. I mean, I spoke about tourism here.
Indeed, sir.
And we all predicted by this August that things will be normal. But it has not happened.
Yeah, I can remember, like, way many years ago, like many years in the sense before the pandemic, actually, we find foreigners, we find foreign visitors more than the Kandian population to be here.
You're correct.
Yes.
Now, as you say, during the Middle East, and because Middle Eastern people travel, I think, during the fasting, or sometimes they travel. I mean, if you went to hotels, and you think you're in the Middle East, because I mean, the hotels are full of them, right? And they were, I mean, I need to get people from Iran, and like all those countries. And I mean, that time it was just. I mean, you think sometimes when you are in Sri Lanka and Iran, what you say is true. I mean, even in Kandy, there were a lot of tourists, and as you say, we cater to all kinds of tourists, like the low budget and the upmarket.
Okay.
And also another thing, I think at this time, the tourist board should come out with a plan, like among the rate structure.
Okay, sir.
Right. So because I think that's very important, because hotels, OAs are very high. Right, so as you were asking, like the rate packages and all that, because it's not like a travel agency or anything that the OAs are not high. Our OAs are very high, right? We like the energy cost and all that. So I think that also we should, I mean, everybody should talk and come to where both benefit. Everybody benefits. That means the travel agent benefits, we benefit. But it should be fair that in the end of the day, that we have made something. Because now, with the pandemic, a lot of you get ICC hotels which have been turned into these quarantine centers right now. So what is going to happen next is quarantine centers. I mean, even to do preventive maintenance, you can't. It's difficult, right, because of the virus. So those hotels, hopefully not, will, I mean, they will need a very big, maybe say refurbishment, investment to bring it up to a standard for us when the tourists come to Sri Lanka to accommodate.
And this is not just confined to Sri Lanka, this is a worldwide pandemic, so yes.
No, but what happened is these hotels will be refurbished, because at the moment I know that hotels, like where they are doing this quarantine, even to go and do a repair in a room or anything, I mean, it's difficult, like due to the regulations, because I think it's divided into so many zones.
Yes.
So like it's going to affect that way also. So these are things that we have to plan now itself, and it's an ideal time for the tourist board and all the authorities to plan these things, get it implemented. So when the pandemic is gone, hopefully, the way the vaccination is going on, I think which is very, I mean, I think we are one of the best in the world in the vaccination, and because we have a very good vaccination system, and of course, with the Army helping is, I think, a big advantage, because I know certain countries where they're trying to do it on their own, like with the medical this thing, and it's a bit slow. So we should, I think, implement and get these things in order once we open the doors for tourism to come back. And also, I mean, we have managed to, the government has approved to vaccinate our staff between 18 and 30, which is also very good. So they are doing something, but I think that there are other things what we have to do for the tourists who are going to come in, and the packages and so on, as I said before.
Are there any personals that are imposed to contribute to this procedures?
Yeah, it's number one. It will be the tourist board. I mean, so the travel agents. I mean, they should. I mean, what I say at this time, we're only concentrating on the pandemic, and nothing else is happening. Even the tourist board, I mean, they can do a lot of things like come up with certain policies, right? And in the areas I spoke about.
Yes.
So that then once the policies are not in place, it'll be very easy when things come back. We'll have to only start implementing it, and things can go on from there.
Okay.
So I hope and pray that with this, I mean, they get the message and they start implementing these things.
Yes. So with that, now we talked about this contribution that the people give during this pandemic. During this, let's say it's a crucial juncture actually. So before the pandemic, Sri Lanka was in a good state to provide these destinations, to give an idea about the foreigners who come to Sri Lanka. So likewise, sir, if we consider this overall, what sort of contribution does the tourist board give to Sri Lanka as well as the people who visit? What sort of a contribution overall that they give?
Yeah, really, I mean, as I said, even at that time, things had not changed. I mean, the contributions they gave, which are 10, 20 years ago, I mean, there's no change, right? Like, as I say, showcase the country in a better way and all that. There was not much of change, right? I mean, so that is tourist board has to. I have nothing in this, but this is just my thoughts. I mean, they should uplift and try to show, as I said, showcase the country to around the world in a better way. Like, for example, when India went on their promotions in UK, I mean, they branded the buses, they were branding the subway, the railway stations. I mean, and it had a very big impact for India in a good way, where tourists started visiting India, but also not that I am again not being against it, but always a guest who visits India and Sri Lanka, they always prefer Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
In all ways, right? They say the food, the cuisine is much better.
They appreciate our spices.
They really, especially the European people. Yeah. They love our spices. And as I say, we have, and even for as I said before, the friendliness of the people in town and in the cities, they always compare Sri Lanka as a much more better destination.
Yeah. So, sir, in connection to this contribution, now as you've said, that there are many people who come all around the world, and that we need some of the procedures that should be taken place in order to uplift the popularity or the fame of Sri Lanka. So, do you have any suggestions that you believe would work?
Yes, I mean, I think if we can reopen these offices, like these tourist board promotional offices in like the countries I mentioned, like in Germany, France. Then, of course, for example, now even the Middle East, they had a road show. At that time, I think was, if I'm right, Mr. Faiz Mustafa was the Deputy Minister of Tourism, I think. So they had the road shows in the Middle East. So that was very successful. Like I said, the Honorable Mr. Rajpak organized the Chinese one. I think this was a very successful roadshow they had in the Middle East, which drew a lot of people from the Middle East to Sri Lanka. So likewise, I think we'll have to, I know how the funding will be, because I mean, at the moment we are spending a lot on this, trying to control the pandemic.
Yes, of course.
But it'll be very good if they can open these offices again, and also have these road shows. So then the people get it. So for example, now when we had the thing in China, we had like the Sri Lankan cuisine being served there, and at that road show everybody was there. Like the people who did the batiks, the jewelry people, the travel agents. So that's one way we can attract the tourists, and of course other ways, of course with the latest technology in social media and things like that. But I think we should open these offices again and try to boost Sri Lanka as the place to visit in the world.
Yes.
Which I think is true. I mean, it's a beautiful country.
And we have to desperately do that.
Yeah, very desperately, because like I was thinking, I think that is one of the questions you had about Italy now. I mean, I think if His Excellency also, like if we just, it's just 3 industries, right? If I say the tourism industry, the agriculture, the livestock and that industry, and the apparel industry.
Yes.
I think if we can boost those industries in Sri Lanka, what I feel is it can have a very good impact on our economy. Right? I mean, just 3 industries, and then of course the other industry like the gem mining and all those things. But these 3, if they maintain and if they can work on these 3 and concentrate on these 3, I think we were called the granaries of the East many years ago. I mean, when we go back. So why can't we do it again? Right? I mean, with this, even I think with the new, things about agriculture, I also, it will take time with the new, with trying to use the stay-free chemicals, which I think is very good, but it will take time for it to work, because we have done it to the whole country at once, but it will take time. But I think we should concentrate in those areas.
Yes.
And I think, Sri Lanka can become a rich country. That's what I feel. I know what others feel, but just 3 industries, of course other industries can go on.
And so the most interesting fact is it's not just only the tourist board that should have this responsibility, it's a responsibility of all the citizens in Sri Lanka, as well as the relevant officials that are there, according to my perception.
Yes, but I think but there should be a head, right, who can even get others to do it. But as I say, there should be one control body, because what happens now is a lot of people decide things.
Okay.
Right? Not that's what I feel on the tourist board, right? Or not only tourist board.
Yeah.
So these things should be monitored by a head. As you say, it can run down to the other areas, but it should be monitored. And as I said, if policies are formed, we have nothing to worry now. If once a policy is in place and it's practical and everybody agrees and everybody benefits, it's very easy to run after that.
So the clear policies,
Correct.
on-point policies are needed in order to drive this.
Yeah, I think because then of course, like for example, like I was saying, even when they give approval for a new property,
Yes.
there should be a criteria, right? You can build a hotel in center of some place that the tourist has no attraction. I think Bali has a certain criteria where you need a certain garden space, things like that. So those are little things that can contribute to the industry. To be a strong and what shall I say, a popular industry.
Yes, of course, sir. So with that, speaking about the contribution that the people overall have to bear in order to get this attraction, there are a lot more other things we also have to focus on. And sure, with those points, we'll meet you after a short break again.
The legend of Senkanda, the everlasting glamour of our heritage.
කන්දුඩරට ඇසළ මහා පෙරහරේ පින්බර සිරි විසිතුර ඔබේ වන්දනීයත්වයට පිදෙන සජීවී රූප සත්කාරය අගෝස්තු 13 වනදා සිට 23 වනදා තෙක් පෙරහර පෙළහර අනවරත රූප සංග්‍රහයක්ව POTV නාලිකා 20 150 ඩයලොග් TV නාලිකා අංක 72 මගින්ද ශ්‍රී දලදා මාලිකාවේ සහිභාවකාශයන් ඔස්සේ එතෙර මෙතෙර වෙසෙන සියලු දෙනා වෙනුවෙන් ගෙන එන අන්තර්ජාල විකාශයක් ලෙසින්ද ඔබේ බැතිබර නමස්කාරයට පිළිගැන්වේ.
අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔය මහානැලෙන් පහු කරලා ගිහිල්ලා කඩු ගන්නවා අම්බලම කිට්ටුව. ඒ අම්බලම කිට්ටුව ටිකක් නතර වෙලා පරිසරය බලනවා. මොකද ඒ කාලේ අර බතලේගල එහෙම පේනෝනේ එතෙන්ට. ඉතින් ඒක ගැනත් කතා කරනවා. හරි තියෙන්නේ බතලේගල මෙහෙමයි කියලා. ඒවත් කතා කරලා එහෙම ගිහිල්ලා කඩුගන්නාවේදී විතර තමයි අපි අරන් යනවා මොනවා හරි තේබුන්න ඔය අග්ගල වගේ. අරන් ගිහිල්ලා එහෙදි අම්බලම ළඟදී ආලම යනවා. ඒ කාලේ ඔය කඩුගන්නාවේ නගරේ පොඩි කඩවල් තිබුණා තේ වතුර දෙන. ඒ කාලේ ඉතින් තේ එකක් කහට එකක් දීලා දෙන්න අතට අකුරු කැල්ලක් එහෙම දෙන්නේ. ඒක කාලා බීලා ඉතින් අපි යනවා එතෙන්ට. කණ්ඩායම් වශයෙන් යන්නේ. අපි එකතු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් අපි 15ක් යනවා නම් අපි 15 වෙනම තමයි යවෙන්නේ. ඉතින් එහෙම යන අයත් ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ වෙන වෙන වශයෙන් තමයි යවෙන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ නුවර ගිහිල්ලා දලදා මාලිගාවට ගිහින් එතන අපි ඒ කරන්න ඕන වැඩ කටයුතු ටික ඔක්කොම කරලා ඉඳ තියෙන තැනකට වෙලා ඉන්නවා. වැඩියක්ම ඉන්නේ අර වැව පැත්තට වෙලා ඉන්නේ පෙරහැර යනකොට. කෑම ගැන එච්චර හිතන්නේ නැහැ මාලිගාවට ගියාට පස්සේ. පෙරහැර බලන්න ඕනේ. පෙරහැර බලලා පෙරහැර පිටත් වුණාට පස්සේ අපි අනිත් පැත්තෙන් එන්නවා. ආලෝකේ විදුලිය නැහැ නේ ඒ කාලේ. අපි ඒ කාලේ ඔය සමහරට අරන් යනවා ටෝච් එක. ඒ කාලේ නැටුම් තිබුණේ විශේෂයෙන්ම උඩරට නැටුම් තිබුණා. ආසයි හරියට බලන්න. අලියතුම් 100 පැනලා සමහරට 125 150ක් විතර වාගේ ඉන්නවා අලියතුම්. මිනිසුන් ගා බලන්න ආසයි මේ අලියතුම් ඒ කාලේ. ඒක හුඟක් ආසයි. ඒ යනකම් පෙරහැර බලනවා. අපේ සංස්කෘතිය ඒ විදිහටම ගෙනිලා ඊට වඩා දියුණුව දෙයක් කරනවා. රටේ දැන් පවතින දේවල් තියෙනවනේ. දැන් නැටුම් ගැයුම් වැයුම් මේ ගොඩක් දේවල් තියෙනවනේ. ඒවා හැම එකක්ම මේකට එකතු කරගෙන වර්තමානයේ ඒ දේවන්නේ නිලමේතුමා ඒ තාම වටිනා විදිහට කරගෙන යනවා. අන්ත ධාතුන් වහන්සේ ලංකාවට වැඩමුවට පස්සේ මේකේ රජ කෙනෙක් මේ පෙරහැර පැටවන ඒ අපේ ඒ සංස්කෘතිය ඒ විදිහටම පවතින්න ඕනේ. ඒක ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි මම නම් දකින්නේ ඒක ඉතාම වටිනා දෙයක්. අපි සංස්කෘතියනේ දැන් බලන්නකෝ පිටරටවල මිනිස්සු කොච්චර එනවද ඔය පෙරහැර බලන්න. ඒ කාලේට. ඒක අපේ සංස්කෘතිය හුවා දක්වන තැනක් තමයි ඒක.
The legend of Senkanda, the everlasting glamour of our heritage sound.
Okay, so you're back with us again. So now I thought of diverting our attention to the childhood. So, yes,
Okay.
about your childhood, about the experiences that you had when
Okay.
you were a kid, and then what sort of beauty that you show so especially in Sri Lanka and also particularly in the Kandy city.
Okay, Bhumi. Really, I was born in Kandy, and my father was a tea planter on many years. He's still living. He's 96 years old.
Okay.
And also before he joined the plantation, he and Mr. Bert, his brother-in-law, the people who started the police kennels in Sri Lanka. Then I went to Trinity College, and I remember Kandy being a beautiful city. I remember, those days we could have driven past the temple, and they had this beautiful, still it's there, the pink flowers, I don't know what you call it. Along the lake and all the old buildings, and I remember the bullock carts and the police. Those days the police used to be in shorts. And,
they did.
It was a beautiful city. Okay, still is beautiful, but things have changed, and I remember the old heritage buildings. And remember those days when you go to school, the weather used to be. It used to be cold, and we used to wear sweaters to school.
Okay.
Yeah, it was and misty. And then I used to stay with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a very famous horticulturist, a person who in Sri Lanka who won the first award from the Royal Horticulture of UK.
That's interesting.
And then I used to live with them because my parents used to be on the estate, and I have a sister who's in Colombo at the moment. And then of course I used to live there, and my grandmother, as you know, we Eurasians and burgers are good cooks, and we believe in good food. So I used to help my grandmother to cook, which when I was schooling and all that, and then I was almost going into to do horticulture. which is you need a lot of patience. I mean, for orchid to bloom takes a few years, so you need patience. I mean, you can't, it's not like we say other plants that in a week or two that blooms. So I was doing horticulture and I went into the very depth of it where we do the crossbreeding and making our own breeds, and so there's a lot of laboratory work which has been done under very hygienic conditions.
Yeah.
But then I found it a bit too boring for me.
Okay.
Okay, because then what happened was, as my grandmother was a good cook, I told my parents that I would like to go into hotel school.
Okay.
So then there was a private hotel school called the Claremont Hotel School in Colombo. So I went there, and I was very strong in the cookery area because actually to be a chef, which professionally I am, you should love to cook. It's something similar to you say some people have green fingers. When they plant a plant, it grows.
Yeah.
So they call them people with green fingers. So likewise, even if you're going to be a cook or a chef, you should have the passion to enjoy what you do.
Yes, of course.
Then I went to hotel school. I was there about 2.5 years. I got a scholarship, the first scholarship to Switzerland, but I didn't take it, which I regret now.
Okay.
And then, of course, after that, in 1980, after I finished my diploma in hotel school, I joined Mahaweli.
Okay.
Then, at that time, we were only 23 rooms, and now we are 113 rooms. And I started my career there. And after about a year or two, I went to the mall. I was in another few coastal hotels and hotel later on in Giritale.
Yeah.
But then I went to Maldives. At that time, Maldives was, not where Sri Lanka was, the hotels. For example, even the water we drank was what we collected from rainwater in the Maldives. It was so basic, but it's a good example how they develop now. If you go to Maldives now, they have developed.
Yeah.
Why? Because there are policies they follow, and their marketing is good. It's a good example. I'm not blaming anybody, because we had a lot of other problems in Sri Lanka, like the northern conflict. So then I was chef at Mahaweli, and then after that I was in Australia. Then I was in Maldives, and then I came back because I wanted to come back to Sri Lanka, and then I was in Australia for a small time. But still, I say Sri Lanka is the country. It is the country. Yes, and that's what I say.
The country.
Yes, I say because it's so beautiful and you're so relaxed. And I don't know why people want to there's a lot of brain drain of people leaving a country because because at that time people will say you don't have a future, all that. But now, that was when I was about maybe 14, 15 years old. But now I'm 60 and I have a future. So it's sad to see people, as I said, Sri Lankans are people, are very brainy people who have been, involved in certain things. And so we see a lot of brain drain, which is very sad, but we can do nothing about it. Then I joined as a chef to Mahaweli in 1993. Now it's almost 30 or 28 or 30 years I was in Mahaweli. But then after that I shifted to being the resident manager, and now I'm the resident manager of the hotel. But still, my passion is cookery, and I'm still involved in the kitchen, which I really love.
So now we see when going through your childhood up to you reach this age, and what I got is, in regard to the stories that you said, you just don't have one particular experience, but diverse exposure. You have been subjected to a diverse exposure, and you are at this position with a lot of experiences and bearing up a big responsibility. In addition to that, I would like to ask what sort of a childhood you had in connection to Asala Mahaperahara. Do you remember any particular incident?
We used to wait for it.
Yeah.
Right. We used to really wait for the Asala Perahara, and I remember we used to bring our food and we used to count the elephants, and
counting the elephants is the best part.
Yeah. And it was high fun for us. And then after the Perahara, we had the carnival, and we used to go to the carnival, and it was high fun in the carnival also. Of course, you can't have it now with the present situation. And I also want to take him back to my childhood. we were adventurous, right? I mean, we didn't have these smartphones and all that. So every holiday, we used to either go to Yala or we used to drive down to some place with my parents, and we used to explore things. I mean, not be at home, and I mean, we didn't spend hardly any time at home. I mean, we saw the country, and my parents would take us every holiday. We used to go somewhere. So I mean, we refresh our memories, and I mean, today it's sad, the different world where people, I mean, people who don't do these things. I mean, so that's another thing we should always, I mean, even in school or anything, we should try to introduce this where people get involved with nature, which is very important. I mean, which is not happening now, and also with as the country is going on a drive of these agriculture children to get involved, at least planting one pot of some vegetable at home. I mean, just to show the value. Because I think people have lost values now. I mean, a lot of people have lost the values because everything is so easy and all to get. So I think, I know it's a difficult thing to do, but I think the parents also should get involved and make it the children be more towards nature, and okay, they can be on their smartphones and all that, but it's important because I think that is what makes us. I mean, because we know what the value of life is. So that's, I mean, that's all I can say about it. And that's been my childhood.
Yeah, so with the childhood experiences, now we are at this position, as I've stated, with a lot of experience. So back to the topic that we were discussing about. Now, this is tourist industry in Sri Lanka. What is the exact role that is played by the tourist industry in Sri Lanka?
To the economy, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, tourism has played a big role in the economy of Sri Lanka. To inform even the individuals, like even the postcard seller, the guy who sells family by the road. I mean, it's an industry that, as I said before, if you can concentrate on these three industries, it plays an enormous impact on the economy. For example, now see, like also like with the hotels being closed, like the wedding functions are not there. I'm just asking you now for these few weeks, I mean, you've been around. Have you see this, for example, the fruits on the road now? I mean, it's everywhere, no? That's because there is no tourism. So you can see that it does play a big role to the economy of the country.
Everything is literally interconnected.
So main thing is we have to get them in. And there are countries like Bhutan. Like, of course, we don't have to implement that here. If you fly into Bhutan, you have to take a sum of money, right? And then when you have to spend a sum there before coming out. So actually, we as hoteliers, what we also always say, that when the tourists leave the country, that they should go empty pocket. That is that we see that they spend all the money they bring to the country. I mean, those are things we have to look at. I mean, so that's another way of, I say, it contributes to the economy and things like that.
They are like not by force convincingly given to them, but that is
not
connected.
by force, not by force. But now, for example, I think, if I'm right, Bhutan, you have to use a sum, and it's not a big amount. You say $500 or $600. So that is, I mean.
And they really love to go with local foods. And
they love it. That's what I say. That's what I say now. Like we should build villages, like where they go and experience. You get, but again, I think the world outside doesn't know about this. We can have a village like a craft village, and in that we can have the traditional food being served, right, where the tourists experience it. And I mean, these are things, but as I said, this should be showcased outside. I mean, it should be advertised outside our country, which I think a lot of countries don't know what we have to offer. So that's what as I said, kept on saying, the tourist board has a big role to play, like in doing so. But I think we'll have to wait till things come back to real normal for them to even start it, because I think everybody is in a tight situation, and the government also has done a lot to help the industry, but there's nothing more they can do. And as you said, we have to be careful. I mean, in the pandemic, we have to take the precautions. I mean,
not only about ourselves, about their
because
safety as well.
If we don't take the necessary precautions, I mean, I'm a person who went to areas that were highly COVID areas, but I took the precautions, and I mean, thank God I didn't. But with the precaution, I think you can get out of this. But our people sometimes are so ignorant or through desperation or I don't know what, but it's as the health authorities say, if you follow the guidelines, I think we should bring down the numbers. And locking down the country is not a solution, I think, because what happens is you lock down for 2 weeks, right, to bring down the numbers, and again, if people are not careful, what happens? You go back to square one.
Yeah. So this is like a worldwide pandemic, so everybody has to ensure each other's safety.
Correct.
First of all.
Correct.
Yes. So diverting this topic to one more point that I have to ask, you have many foreign relations, you have friends that you know. What about their questions? What about their suggestions about this time? Are they missing the Asala Maha Perahara?
Yeah. I got so many messages.
Okay.
From Middle East, from Austria, from France. They say they are missing it because they love to come and watch this, because it's and especially at this period you get a lot of children coming, the foreigners. I think because it's summer, maybe holidays over there, not, and we have got a lot of messages. People saying they really miss it, and is it on? They're asking. And then people who are not come, who are promoted, they're saying they cannot come because because of the situation. But again, there are inquiries coming into Sri Lanka now. For example, from in March, like next February, March, there are inquiries for groups of 50, 60 from Europe. So I think once the airport opens and with this vaccination things, I think things will. We have to bounce back. It's a new norm of life. So we have to adjust ourselves and, as you say, take all precautions and follow the guidelines that are very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple, very basic things we have to practice. Just wash your hands, wear a mask, that's all.
Keep the distance.
Keep your distance, that's all. So it's very simple. So I can't understand. Maybe they might even have to go down to a different level to the different level of people in the villages and explain more, because. There's nothing more the government can do, which I feel like. I am not on any side, but that's what I feel.
So now, since we are focusing on these foreigners, there are let's say appreciation that when it comes to Asala Maha Perahara. Now I have this question, like, are they constantly visiting? Are there a set of people who constantly visit every year, or maybe every other year, to watch this Asala Maha Perahara?
Yes, there are people. I know one person. He's from the Philippines. In fact, he's in Sri Lanka now. He's a journalist. He's here for every Perahara. Right? Like he can't come up now because of the border crossing, but he's in Colombo. I know the gentleman. He's here for every Perahara, and he loves it. He goes daily to watch it. And but also you get repeat guests who come to watch it. It's something that they really, as I said, they say it's unbelievable, this pageant. What they see. Those are very words. Some people, amazing, unbelievable. It's, always you get beautiful feedback. And sometimes they have to wait in the stand from 5 o'clock, like because of the times they have to come early to and take their seats. But up to now, we have not got one guest. I have not got who has complained. I said, we have to wait a long time. Never. Because they are so
enthusiastic
about it. Yeah.
Yes.
They come tired and all that, but still they never have told we have to stay a long stay. There are no these facilities and all that. Up to now, we have not got anything like that.
Complained at all.
If concerning me, and I don't think anybody else would have got the same kind of reply.
Yeah. So now, with this attention, with whatever that we talked about right now, this pandemic had caused something like very critical situation, and step by step, gradually, even though Sri Lanka has this let's say a contribution that is to be paid in this foreign industry, it will take time. Of course, it will take time for us to gradually reach that position. So do you believe that, of course it's a peculiar future that we have, it's not clear at all, sometimes it's vague, maybe, but do you suppose that after everything is sorted out that we'll be able to get back into our track again?
Tourism?
Yes.
Definitely.
Any suggestions that you think like would be better that we would have as Sri Lankans to get this back to the topic that we were discussing about?
Yeah. No, as I say, we'll have to go for a big drive, right? I mean, and I hope that the board can do it. But we can build up the industry. That's for sure, because it has to happen, and we should be always positive.
We have to be.
We have to be positive.
Yes.
I mean, this is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to be positive. We have to think differently.
Hopeful.
Yeah, and hopeful, and I am positive that we can bounce back. Because as I said, Sri Lanka is a blessed country, a lovely country, and a lucky country. So we can bounce back with what we have to offer. But as I say, we should all get together.
Yeah.
And at this time, there should be different. What I say is, at this time of this crisis, it's a world crisis.
Yes.
It's not only Sri Lanka. So I think everybody should get together and help the health authorities, the army, and the government to get out of this pandemic. I mean that is the only way. There's only
in order to get.
Let's get together, because we are saving lives. We are going to save the country. We are going to save the economy. So I think it's very sad, but I think we should all get together and see how we are going to get out of this mess. Because as I said, it's not only Sri Lanka; it's a world pandemic.
Yes. So getting back to this factual question that I just came up with, sir, are there any relevant statistics that is being maintained in order to get this migration and immigration factors?
We are maintaining statistics of the tourist arrivals.
Yes.
Yeah, we maintain statistics of all the arrivals, and I think we every month we have to give a report to the tourist board. But I think there are other areas that we should have statistics. For example, how we like that's for example, if you go for a meeting, we should know what kind of buying power we have done from the local Sri Lankan suppliers. Now, we don't know a lot of other areas, or they're not tourists, but compared to other like apparel, and they have some statistics how much of clothes went out, all that, but we have zero statistics on that area. For example, just a simple example, how much chicken does the industry use, right? I mean, then at least the government knows how much the industry is helping the people, I mean the local suppliers of Sri Lanka. So those are things that we should, I mean, even get some university students, someone get it and get it done. That's very important.
Yeah. So, sir, with that, we came across a lot of interesting facts. We came across the contributions. We came across what sort of necessity should be there, what sort of steps to be taken. We discussed about both negative and positive effects that we have out of this. So, sir, thank you so much for joining us with today in order to enlighten us with this tourist, let's say, the contribution that we had. We had quite a nice, interesting topic with Mr. Rodney Armstrong, Resident Manager, Hotel Mahaweli Reach, and the President of the Kandy Hoteliers Association. So, sir, thanking you all again. We'll meet you up with something interesting in the next episode.
Thank you, Bhumi, for.
The legend of Senkanda, the everlasting glamour of our heritage.